The stars are bright, we own the night. The stars are bright, we own. The stars are bright, we own the night. The stars are bright, we own. The
We're going to speak to Amanda Brunson, another Brunson, but we're not related. And today we're talking about ALL, which is acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Okay, so Amanda, I'm going to let you in. Actually, hold on, Amanda, because I kind of wanted to read off what is ALL before we start our juicy conversation. So let me kind of get that out the way before you come on. So ALL is yet another blood cancer, bone marrow cancer. Excuse me. Okay, however, this particular disease rapidly progresses by creating immature blood cells, rather mature blood cells, if that makes any sense. So this particular cancer affects the white blood cells known as lymphocytes, hence the name lymphocytic. Even though I said lymphoblastic, but Amanda, you will tune us, you will educate me a little bit more in the audience. This is a blood cancer that's usually common in children and young adults. So some of the signs are similar to the flu, just like any type of bone cancer. There's bone pain, there's swollen lymph nodes, weakness, and in some cases, nosebleeds, to name a few. ALL is caused by a DNA mutation, and as a lot of cancers, there's no clarity as to why. Okay, so Amanda, I'm going to let you in now.
Me cracking up.
When it's crazy, whenever I do this show, there's always some backstory of a crazy day.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry, that down to like the wire, literally. How are you?
I'm good. Don't worry. I had a rough day today. I was running home. I was like,
Great. Like, I'm happy it's the holiday and all of that. You know, you got time to like wind down a bit. But
yes.
like I said, on the back end, there's a lot popping over here. Okay.
It's
So
okay.
I was like, okay. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, just a forewarning, if you hear one of my dogs going off, you know, it's usually the big one. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry about it. If you hear baby, you say mama.
Oh,
Life happens, okay? Because he was napping, but when he hears my big mouth, he may like, mama. So let's ignore. Daddy will come where he at to get him.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm really excited to have you on. Thank you for doing the show.
No worries.
And there's a lot to speak about, but I first want to tell people, a Brunson, are they, related? So I want to get that out the way. No, we're not related, but who knows? Because I know I have a huge family, so, people who pass on, they probably know this Brunson from that place and that. So I don't know. But allegedly, we're not related. So let's see. Okay, so first I want to read your bio, and then I can kind of get into the gist of what it is I want to get into. Okay, where is that?
I'm an open book now, so go forward.
Tell me about it. Me too. To some degree. To some degree. So, okay, Amanda, people call Amanda a panda. Okay, we're going to get into that a little bit too. You love a panda.
Oh,
Okay. Okay, so Amanda was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia and PH chromosome at the age of 21, exactly on May 2010, and relapsed at the age of 25, May 2015. You did an allogeneic, I hope I said that right, unrelated donor bone marrow transplant.
yes.
Wonderful. Because I didn't even have time to look that up on the pronunciation. I was like doing things literally the last minute. Okay, so you had a bone marrow transplant in 2015, and you're now 7 years post-treatment. Yay! And doing the best, living life as normal as you can.
Yes.
Sounds like me. You gotta live.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, okay. So Amanda and I, we both write on a platform, you know, catered to people with blood cancer.
Yes.
So that's how we know each other. And I'm just excited that you said, sure, I'll do the interview. So that's wonderful. So I kind of want to get into, before you tell me your story per se, I want you to tell me a little bit, add on to what is ALL. I know I gave a little bit towards the beginning, but is there anything you want to add about this particular cancer?
I mean, you said the majority of it. Yeah, so ALL is like it's a blood cancer that you would get whether you're really, really old or you're really, really young. But you don't get it within the age group of like the 18, the 20s. You don't usually see it there. So I became a rare case because yeah, I guess I'm just Amanda Panda and just funny stuff happens. And so I ended up with this diagnosis, and that's where the story began.
Yeah, I know, right? It is a story because some people, I think, they want like this long thing, like is it genetic? A lot of these cancers, we just don't know, right? If it's not genetic, you kind of think it has to be the environment, which isn't hard to believe because there's a lot of stuff in our aura. So I'm not surprised we're not walking around with a tail, to be honest with you.
That part.
So let's start off with telling the audience a little bit about yourself and tell us what led to your diagnosis.
Okay, so my name is Amanda. People call me Panda. I'm an athlete by heart, by nature. You always see me doing something fitness-wise. Even when I was in treatment, I was still doing something. Yoga, pole fitness, I mean, all of it. You know, just because they say cancer, it didn't really stop me. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna keep on going then. I'm bald and all. Like, I didn't like the wig thing. It's Florida. It's really hot. I tried it one time, and I told my mom, it wasn't a grocery store actually. I told my mom, I was like, it's really hot. I don't like the wig thing. She was like, take it off. And I was like, right here? She was like, sure. And I was like, okay. And I ripped it off. And this man looked at me like, I was like, yeah, I'm bald. And then I kept going. What else? I got my degree in sports and fitness at the University of Central Florida. I'm a dog lover. I'm adventurous. I'm down to do majority of a lot of stuff. Just if I don't like it, I won't do it again now. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
I got you. Okay, before again we delve a little bit to the core, I also want to talk about some of the myths that we have with this particular cancer, or just with leukemia or blood cancer in general. So, okay, all leukemia diagnoses require swift and immediate treatment. That's what the myth, supposedly.
That's not true.
So it's saying here, patient diagnosed with a chronic form of leukemia that is not presenting any symptoms may not require immediate treatment. Instead, they may benefit from the watchful waiting, which I think a lot of us know about that.
Yeah, it makes you nervous.
It Do you want to add more to that?
To the watch and wait.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you hear someone there, when you hear someone say doctor say you have cancer, the immediate thing, I mean, first is, am I gonna die? Then second is, what are we doing next? And when your doctor tells you, wait to watch, oh, wait a minute, I got something in my body that I don't want in here, and you telling me to wait to watch, you're just gonna let it manifest? Like, your brain start freaking out. And I don't blame anybody for that. I,
Exactly. And
I really don't.
it's funny because it's just the term watch and wait. Like maybe they need to like relearn that, because that right there just, what are we waiting for? For me to keel over? It's like, come on. Okay, so another myth is that survival is rare.
Oh, that's not true.
So here it says that there are a variety of factors that affect the chance of surviving leukemia, such as the type of ALL, how progressed is the cancer, what's your age, and the response to treatment according to NCI. 62.7% of patients survive 5 years or more after being diagnosed with the disease. Would you like to add?
That's not true. That's not true. I mean, I could see. You can go either way with this, but a lot of that's not true, because if you catch it in time, you can treat it. But if it's gone a little further than you would like, there's still people who survive. It all depends on the pre-existing conditions you may have had, how your health is already, and the treatment that they put you on and stuff like that. So like you can't just be throwing that out there, give someone a death sentence. You give them no hope. I believe in God and your mind too. So like if you tell someone that and their mind isn't strong enough, they're automatically gonna start falling for all of this stuff. I'm gonna die, all this other stuff. But if you put it in a different perspective and tell the patient, hey, this is what's going on. This is the stage that you have, but we can fight this. Like there's no lost hope. We got this. So I'm like, yeah, don't tell people that.
It's crazy. I totally agree. And I know this week I did a post on what are the things that multiple myeloma, in this, for my case, multiple myeloma patients afraid of, or something like that. And then I put death. And then like the outpour of behind the scene comments on that. I think a lot of us can agree, like the statistics is questionable when you tell somebody that, let's say you have, I don't know about ALL, but because I just read that it's 5 years. So that's the same with multiple myeloma. So you have 5 years. You're being diagnosed with such a thing, and then you saying 5 years, what the statistics is saying. But what I tell a lot of people, that really needs to be changed, because a lot of these statistics go by perhaps a certain age group. Okay. So all of us don't fit in that particular shoe. Not to mention the whole clinical trial aspects of some of these findings, because some people, such as Black people, are not part of these clinical trials. So when you're giving this whole perspective of your time frame or how you're going to do, I always say everybody is individual and you just don't know. There's so many, possibilities. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into your story. So tell me about how you were diagnosed.
So I was diagnosed Literally, I had just got into my junior year of college at University of Central Florida. I had just transferred from a community college. I was on the track team. I was doing good. And literally one day I was on my bed. I was literally studying, and I felt a little twinge in my shoulder, but I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And I went to sleep. The next morning, my shoulders were on fire, on fire, to the point where it felt like someone was taking ice picks and just jabbing them in. Minding me, I'm not there. Stop. I'm not really thinking of anything. So I'm popping in Tylenol like it's Skittles. And, I mean, we were going from 2 to 3 to 5 to 6, and I was doing it every 2 hours. Mom tells me, yes, my mom tells me, maybe you should go to the doctor. I'm like, nah, I'm okay, I'm fine.
Girl.
Yeah, I'm fine. Okay, so after that, I keep, going to track practice. I keep running, all this other stuff. And then, sorry, as my dog is playing with his bone.
No problem.
That happened for 2 days, okay? But mind me, I have a high tolerance to pain. So I keep on going, just working out and all this other stuff. Then after those 2 days, I wake up with bad chest and back spasms. So all that stuff you said about how the nosebleed, everything, none of that happened to me. So I woke up with these chest spasms, and they were bad, to the point where I could, I've never been in labor, but I could feel them starting to vibrate in my chest. And so I'd be like, oh no. And I would have to take a deep breath, and I would literally be like, right? It was so bad, to the point where I started crawling on the floor to get to my mom, because I was like, I don't know what's going on. She takes me to the firehouse department because nothing's open, and that's what she thought. We go, they check my heart, they say, everything's okay. There's nothing wrong. As a matter of fact, just go to your PCP, your primary care, get checked up. Next morning, I go there. The doctor takes a look at me. She's like, you're just working out too much. No blood test, no nothing. You're just working out too much. You need to stop. And I'm going to give you some muscle relaxers, some painkillers. Cool. So I take the muscle relaxers and painkillers, and I'm still having these spasms and just shoulder pain. I go to church. I can literally feel the vibration of the music in my shoulders. And you know how the pastor be like, slap your neighbor. And I'm like,
exactly.
Please don't let me no more. So then it just escalated again. So I go back home. I'm still not feeling good, but I'm still training now. I'm still training. And the next thing, what happened after that, the spasms and whatnot, I wake up with head to foot pain. I didn't know what it was. I was just like, oh man. So I crawl into the shower, take a warm shower, and it disappears. And I'm like, oh, that's just a fluke. This happened all within 2 weeks. So I go to my internship. I get ready to start personal training, and the pain comes back with revenge. Minding me, I wasn't in my right mind because the hospital was right there. I didn't go to the hospital. My grandpa lived right down the street. So I drive to my grandpa's house. Now at this point, I'm really crawling to the door, and I'm banging on the door. Pop, 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 pop. Grandpa, let me in, let me in, let me in. I felt so bad. My grandpa was old too. I pushed my grandpa. I said, Grandpa, move, boom. And I literally run to his bedroom, and I just get in his bed, get in the fetus position. My grandpa old school, he had the green alcohol with the warm towel. He was like, I'm gonna go get you this. I'm gonna rub it on you. Gonna feel better. I say, Grandpa, I ain't feeling better. This ain't working. Ah! So he calls my mom. She drops everything, comes, gets me, takes me to the hospital. I get in there, and I don't know why I do this, but I start to joke I don't know, it's just like a coping mechanism. So my mom's like, tell the lady what's wrong with you. I was like, I heard a little. My mom's like, stop lying to her. I was like, it's like a 30. Okay, I'm really hurting. So
Girl.
so they put me on the gurney, they give me some morphine and stuff and knock me out. I feel better now. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good. But unfortunately, that's when everything took a turn for the worse. Minding me, it was the day before Mother's Day that this happened. So my mom went back home to get her license and everything because she dropped everything to get me. So she said, I'll be back. And the ER doctor comes in, I'm high off of morphine. And the doctor, I just remember, because I was like, I've never seen a doctor with Jordans on. What? And so then he smiled at me, and then he was like, I got some news to tell you. And I was like, what? He was like, I think you have leukemia. I said, I heard that before, but I know it's not good, but I'm not registering it. So he was like, don't call your mom, wait till she gets back. So I'm thinking, and then I think about this Charlie Brown episode that my elementary school showed us, because unfortunately one of our childhood classmates had cancer and they were trying to explain it to us. So then I was like, oh no, I'm Charlie Brown's friend.
Girl.
I did have, with the medication, rewind, one of the doctors had given me medication, naproxen. It broke me out in bruises. The professor thought my boyfriend was beating me. I also had these pink things. I think they called pink eye, something like that. Pink eye. I don't know how they pronounce it, but it was like pink rashes all over me too. That was another thing that happened. Stop! Hey, pink rashes all over. I asked the pharmacist, what is this, all this about? She was like, I don't know. I'm like, you're a pharmacist. What you mean you don't know?
Mm-hmm.
But fast forward to the ER. That's how I ended up in the ER. And I realized, oh man, I'm Charlie Brown's friend. So I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, I need you to come back, please. She's like, I'm on my way. So I give it, 10 seconds, and I'm trying to stay calm. But I immediately called her back, and I was like, I need you to come back right now. So she gets in the hospital room, and I don't even know who told her, because I didn't tell her. So I'm assuming the doctors told her. She comes in, and first thing I said, I'm so sorry. I ruined your Mother's Day. I ruined it. She was like, stop it. You didn't ruin my Mother's Day. I was like, am I going to die? She's like, stop. She was like, stop right now. She said, what we're going to do is we're going to pray about it, and we're going to let it go. And I said, okay. So we prayed about it, and I literally let it go. Like, I got no introduction to what chemotherapy was or nothing. All I got was, if you didn't come in here, you would have been dead in 2 days. And then I got,
What?
Yes. Then I got, you're going to the OR? And I said, well, we're going to the OR. They said, we're going to go ahead and put a port in you. I said, this all happened within 24 hours. So before I went to get my port done, the doctor had told me to lay on my belly. And I said, lay on my belly? Why?
Oh,
so,
Lord.
Yes.
I know where this is going.
Look, this is how I found out what a bone biopsy was. So
that ain't the way to find out, sis.
I lay on my belly, and I'm thinking, why am I listening to this doctor? So he's like, he pulls my garments down, and he's like, I mean, this might be too much information, but it doesn't matter. So I had a thong on, and he was like, can you please pull that down? I was like, it's a thong. Okay. And at the same time, I'm like, what are you doing? So then the nurse was like, oh, you got a cute butt. I was like, track runner. Yes, all this was happening, but I didn't care. It was a girl, though, who said it. So next thing you know, the doctor gets on the table, and I'm like, wait a minute, why are you getting on top of me? He was like, stay still. Next thing you know, I'm feeling, it feels like a corkscrew grinding into my back. And then I feel like he's taking a hammer, and I feel a big pop and pull. And that's how I got introduced to the bone biopsy.
Not to cut you in,
Oh,
but
go
I
ahead, go
agree with Valerie. That is definitely not the way to find out.
ahead.
Like,
Yes.
like, 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 we're joking about it, but I already see, just when you started the story, that there's so many holes in between
Mhm.
there that I feel like punching somebody. Okay, because girl, continue.
Oh, yes, yes. And then I mentioned I had gone to 3 doctors before they finally figured out what was going on. And one of the doctors thought I was seeking drugs because I said I didn't feel good. I'm still in pain. He tried to threaten me with I don't know what you call those shots that you put in the joint. What are those things called?
Shot you
Um,
put in your joints.
yes. Oh my gosh. People put them. They're like shots they put in your joint to like get the information out.
Oh, I know what you're talking
I
about.
forgot what
Yeah, I don't
those.
know the name. I know what you're talking about. But okay, so that's what he thought you was trying
Yes,
to.
and I was like, oh, we not about to throw no needle in my. No, we're not. But fast forward to the bone biopsy. That's how I found out. And then literally when he was sending the results, like the little sample to the lab, I took a look at it and it looked like some alien stuff. I'm not gonna lie. It was literally like blood and black speckles. And I said,
Mm,
what is that? And he says, that's the cancer. And I said, oh no. So that was my shocker. And then next thing you know, I go to ER. They fill me up with platelets, plasma, and some blood. And me and my mom are praying, and I go under and I get my port. I wake up and something went wrong. I remember that. Something went wrong, and I ended up staying in ICU for the whole day. Next day, stitches and all, they stab me in the chest and give me my chemotherapy. And then I also got introduced to the spinal taps where I was getting spinal taps with chemotherapy in it as well. That was my introduction to chemotherapy.
child. I need you to finish wrapping up before I say, like, when you went, like, if you're telling your PCP that I'm in a lot of pain, so forth, so forth, nobody want to hear whether you work out or not. Like, I'm gonna need you to take a blood test or urine test. That's why this whole self advocacy is life, because you cannot trust that these people, you know your body. Now, if you pop in Tylenol like
Oh
that
yeah,
every
that was
2 hours,
me. Oh yeah.
when I go to the doctor, like, doc, I'm just popping these Tylenol. I'm not trying to hear you talk about, oh, you working out too much, give it a couple of days. Because that right there is probably, I'm going to cuss you out. Okay, that's probably going to be number one. And then number two, I'm going to look for somebody else, but I'm going to be pissed because I'm in pain. Now I got to, vet who's another doctor to go to. Like, they dropped the ball left and right.
Yeah.
Um,
But I went to
Cal,
three that dismissed me. Just dismissed me. It was bad.
I agree, Valerie. Valerie's like, you have to force them to look deeper. And you should really have to do that. Now, I don't want to put, okay, I don't want to put the whole race thing, but you are black. Okay. So I don't know if that is a issue with that. Like, is that the reason why certain doctors may not look deeper? But to take the race card out, there are a lot of people who are not black who go through similar situations when they have a conversation with their PCP or whoever. Um, it's very unfortunate. Um, yeah, that's not a cool story, Amanda. Okay, it
Yeah.
really isn't. And I mean, in terms of the bone marrow biopsy, I
Oh
can
yeah.
relate because I totally agree. Keep it real. Okay. Because and you know I will keep it real. Okay. Um it's I had a similar experience with the bone marrow biopsy, um, but not quite like yours, but it's similar. Like you need to, like, that's like an experience where you have to really um explain. This is kind of where the transparency comes in there. You can't just tell somebody to lay on their back and you get ready to do a procedure like that and not explain. Even to this day, no matter what doctor it is, okay, before they do any kind of procedure that may be minor, what you doing? Tell me when you getting ready to do it. What's that? Like, all of these questions you really got to ask, because I don't know if they think they back in med school where the subject isn't going to say anything, just take it, but I don't think so.
Oh yeah. And I like I told you, one of the doctors that I went and saw thought I was seeking drugs, and the bone biopsy. And mind me, I didn't do that bone biopsy. They said they numbed me, but how do you numb a bone? I don't know, but I felt every bit of that, every bit. I was screaming bloody Mary, and I was sweating. I thought I was gonna pass out. I thought I was gonna pass out. I was like, anybody think it's a little hot in here? He was like, keep still. I'm like, it was.
And that's another thing, child. Woosah. Okay. Woosah, real deep. Woosah. Okay, so what is it that you wish people knew about ALL? Like, okay, you went through the whole transplant, right? The treatment, then there was a relapse. Like, based on the story of what you're telling us, it's just been like a whole, I feel it sounds like a whole roller coaster of how do you even adjust to everything that's happening, and especially being so young. You were 21, you know. So what has your adjustment been like, and what do you want people to know about this condition?
My adjustment, I honestly, it's still an adjustment. Like I still deal with the side effects of chemo, and it, I take it day by day, honestly, because that's all I can do. What was the other question that you said?
What are two things that you wish people knew about ALL?
That you can fight. Like, just because someone says that you have ALL leukemia, it's not the end of the world. You can fight it, and don't look at Google. It's not your friend. It's not your friend.
Sometimes it is, though.
Sometimes
it is. But go ahead.
but when you start looking at the death rates and stuff, don't do it to yourself.
True. True.
But also, I would say seek out someone else who's had the diagnosis if you can find someone, and ask them questions as well. Be wary because you don't know. Everyone's cancer journey is different. So some have really positive, some have very negative. So I would caution on the weary side, because you're gonna get both the good and the bad. And I've had some bad stories, and I do tell them, but I don't want to scare people either. So I would say that too. Even like when I relapsed too. Stop there. Hey. When I relapsed, I got the same runaround as well. Like I identified with. I went back to track. I started running again. I got myself back in shape. I fell and tripped, and for some reason started having the same symptoms I had previously. I'm starting to notice them. I'm getting lightheaded this time. That was the only thing that was different. I'm starting to have the bone pain in my hips, and I called the nurse who took care of me, and I tell her my symptoms. She told me to go to the ER. I said, cool. So we go to the ER. I'm now having these spasms in my chest and back again. I'm taking a deep breath. The ER doctor is looking at me crazy, like, what's wrong with her? And I'm like, oh man. Again, gave me muscle relaxers and muscle relaxers and painkillers. But he did give me a blood test. But the blood test wasn't showing the leukemia just yet. But I said something's wrong. I know my body. Hey Bear, come on, stop. I know my body. They sent me home and told me to wait it out. I tried to work out and realized I couldn't do the things I usually do. I called my nurse practitioner again, who took care of me the first time. I told her I want a bone biopsy and a spinal tap. She said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, because if I'm crazy, then this will put it in. If I'm not, then you know I'm telling the truth." And she was the only one that believed me. No other doctor would believe me at this point. I go in, minding me, every time I do my bone biopsies after that incident I told you about, I always put worship music in my ears. Literally, I put worship music in my ears, and I would just start worshiping while they were doing the bone biopsy, and I would just focus my eyes on God. So the next thing, she tells me, she takes one look at me, and Dr. Juicy, he's the pediatric doctor who took care of me as well. He takes one look at me and shakes his head, and I already know I've relapsed. So they scheduled me for a bone biopsy and a spinal tap. The nurse practitioner tells me it'll come back in a week. I get on the table. This time they nice. Children's hospital, nice. Adult hospital, not so nice. But this time, they gave me some stuff to go to sleep, like a twilight, not really sleep, but
okay.
Again, I still put the worship music in my ear, and I remember to this day I had put in "Withhold Nothing" by William McDowell, and I started worshiping, and I worshiped while I was under, and I kept singing, and I remember getting to a point where I felt like I was losing control. I can't even explain it. Felt like I was losing control. I was panicking. Mind me, I'm still under. And I hear this voice. It wasn't loud. It was soft. I heard it though. And it just said, "Keep worshiping me. I'm going to get you through." And like every time I talk about it, it brings chills. Because I'm like, here I am about to go through this again. And I don't know if I'm really going to make it. Hey, so I start worshiping.
Girl, you're going to get me to start crying.
Well, I start worshiping, and they're trying to wake me up after they've done the bone biopsy. And I remember they finally wake me up, and I just remember looking over, and the nurse says, "I've never heard someone worship like you did." She said, I don't know, but you gonna be okay. I said, okay. So the next day I got the news, I relapsed. I didn't even cry. Everybody else was crying around me. And all I said was, I'm about to go talk to God. And I said, "God, you brought me through this already. I know you didn't just bring me this far to leave me. We gonna get through this." I said, I don't even claim, I did not claim ever that I had cancer. I just said, I'm sick. It's a bump in the road. I'll be all right. That's all I said. Anybody ask me, "You sick?" "Nah, I'm good. Just taking some medicine. I'm good. I'll be all right." And I kept my eyes on God, and I worshiped. When I didn't feel good, I probably shouldn't have done it, but I got on my hands and knees and in my bed praying to God, help me get through, because I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm not saying that I didn't have moments that I felt like I was going to, if I'm going to make it or not. I did have those moments, but I didn't dwell in them. And I would just go back to reading Bible verses, literally would put them on my side of my bed, post notes. I would start reading these verses to myself. And at the same time, two of my mom's friends also were diagnosed. So all three were diagnosed in 1 week. And I was telling them, I said,
with ALL or with some other type of cancer?
One had stomach and one had breast. And so I was encouraging them too. I said, if I'm doing this a second time, you can do it too. Stop there. And then after that, I went back into treatment. I had the port put back in. This time it went a little soft because they cut my lung. So my lung collapsed, Yes,
But,
I was okay.
but why they why did they cut your lung?
They went too deep. They went too deep putting the
So
port
was
in.
that an
It
accident?
was an
Like,
accident. Yeah, but it went too deep. So one, they put the port in, but they put it too far in my heart. When I woke up, literally felt my heart being like, felt that in my chest. And I said, is it supposed to feel like this? They look on the heart monitor. They said, it's too far in. You got to go back in. I go back into the ER. They fix it. I come back out and I was okay. I got back to the room. This is where it gets fuzzy because I remember I have a twin. So I remember my twin being at the bed and I stood up to go wash my hands and I started coughing. I was like, what's going on? Victoria's like, you okay? Now I'm really starting to cough. I mean, I'm going, I can't breathe. So my sister, I remember her scream, we need some help. Doctors throw me on the bed. I don't know where this x-ray machine came. They took one x-ray and said, you got to go to ICU. I said, huh? She said, your lung is collapsed. Then I thought I was going to lose it because I was like, I see too much ER. You're going to cut my side. You're going to shove a tube in me. And that's exactly what they did. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, Amanda, let's bring it down. Because even the audience, the comments are like, say
Oh,
what
yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Okay, so before I continue on, we have to go back a little. So when you first, before you relapsed, were you being checked? Like, did you still have like your doctor, oncologist appointments? Were they still, doing labs? Were they still checking you? Or was it you did the treatment or you did with the stem cell child I forgot already. And then they just, okay, you can go about your business. Like, what was somebody still checking you or
Yes.
something?
So somebody was still checking me. I went 4 years with chemotherapy. I did not do a bone marrow transplant at the time because I did so well on chemo that they took it off the table. I went from doing intensive phase to maintenance where I took chemo pills.
Okay.
And I still had to come in for some chemo. I did a lot of inpatient. I didn't have a lot of outpatient chemotherapy. So my schedule was 2 weeks in the hospital, maybe 1 or 2 days out. Most of the time it was 1 day because I had so many side effects. And that's how it went. And then I went on the maintenance. Once the 4th year came, I was cleared and they said, hey, we'll see you in a year. And within that year, everything went back south. And then after
Right.
that, the bone marrow transplant was on the table indefinitely, and I had to do it. I had no choice at this time. And I had to restart chemotherapy and everything again. And this time, they hit me with everything they got. I thought I was going to die. That chemo, not trying to scare nobody, but that chemo was powerful.
I'm just like, so, like, I've had many conversations on this show, and I have to say, your story, what you said, has brought tears to my eyes. Because, okay, what is something you didn't know about your condition? Like when they finally got it right that you have leukemia, what is something that you didn't know about what is leukemia and what is it about?
I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything. All I knew was they told me that my blast was off the charts, and I was like, blast? Okay, okay. Not knowing that white blast is bad. And I didn't know that. And then, but I also didn't know what chemotherapy was. Like, there wasn't anybody immediately around me that had cancer where they took chemotherapy. My grandpa had prostate, but they had done some operation and he was good. But I never from that point been near someone who had taken chemotherapy like that. So I didn't know what that was. I just got a crash course of everything.
Girl, woosah. Okay, I have to keep saying that because that's a lot.
I didn't even
And
know what
it's one thing, I think it's one thing, like what you've gone through, I think anybody that goes through it, no matter what age, I think it's a big deal. But it's something about when you're in your early 20s and
mm-hmm.
going, like, you're just trying to figure certain things out. You know, not to say that there's like no maturity and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you just said, that there is a lot. And then questions, and then getting the right care to
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, it's just a lot to grasp.
Oh, I had to grasp it. I had to swallow it right then and there. Another thing that I wish they had told me and they didn't tell me, reminding me, I didn't have time either, was my fertility. They didn't tell me
Oh,
about the fertility. They didn't tell me about my eggs could be destroyed. They didn't tell me
Lord
none
have
of
mercy.
that. None of it. They just put me on birth control, wanted to stop my period. I said, cool, stop my period. But I didn't know until one day it hit me. And I said, wait a minute. What about my fertility and all that other stuff? They were like, it's going to come back. It's okay. And that was it. Like, okay. I mean, eventually my period did come back. But then when I went for my bone marrow transplant, then they warned me, you will go sterile. And we would like you to save eggs now because when you go sterile, like nothing. I said, but I already took chemotherapy. Well, they're like, okay, well, let's go ahead and have you go see the infertility clinic anyways. I got to the infertility clinic. They instantly wrote me off. They said, you had chemo already? I said, yes. They said, oh, we can't do anything. They tried, we can't do anything. Like, so they tried, they were like, if you even have a little bit of a chance of having children later down, we can give you, they gave me a shot of Lovacin, something like that, to try to shut my reproductive organs down. It didn't take in time, and the bone marrow transplant made me completely sterile. I went into menopause at 25, and then that's a whole different story because
I know. Like, if Miss Valerie is still on, that is the reason why I want to do what I was telling Miss Valerie about. And I'll just say that. That is bananas. Okay? That is bananas. And it's something about the transparency that a lot of the medical, and not all, because some doctors do get it right to tell you A through Z. But again, someone specifically in their 20s, let's break that joint down as to what you can and cannot do, what is going and may not do. Like, let's have a transparent conversation, because once those meds start, you can't now backtrack. Oh yeah, what about X? And oh, what about Z? Like, that should have been said way from the beginning for a
no,
20-something-year-old.
yeah,
It's
no,
bad enough for a 30-something-year-old, but even more so for a 20. I mean, okay, child.
I tell people
I
when they,
feel like I need wine, but I'm praying.
oh yeah,
I got one more week to go. But this conversation is some wine. Is wine, you know. Okay, so you've gone through a lot. Like, what is your go-to when you feel overwhelmed? Because at the end of the day, this is something that has happened. This is something that you've learned from. You know, it kind of is what it is.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
not the best phrase, excuse me, to say. But
it is.
you have
It is.
to move forward. You know what I'm saying? So what is your go-to when you're feeling overwhelmed? You know. in this present state?
Um, I know it's probably, I guess maybe it's gonna say cliche. I don't know. Hush, Bear, you all right, Bubba? I get on my hands and knees and pray. No lie. I get over. I get on my hands and knees and pray, and I worship. I get in that atmosphere of worshiping because I always remind myself when I'm weak, God is strong. He's stronger. And at this point, I'd be like, I can't take no more. Like, you're gonna have to take over because I'm gonna lose it. Like, and then I also go and I work out, whether it's a walk, whether it's to go lift weights, something. And I'm still praying and worshiping because, like, you know how people listen to R&B when they working out?
Right.
I'm listening to worship music, or I'm listening to sermons to keep my mind focused and just try to do right. Like, my life been crazy. Hey, my
Girl,
kids.
I
These are my
applaud
kids.
you because, again, I don't want to focus too much on the age, but yeah,
It's there. It's there.
there's a difference. Age is a difference because a lot of people think that a lot of these cancers, in this case, blood cancer, it's someone in their 70s and 80s. Okay, you can't treat a 20-year-old the same as you're going to treat someone who is more mature, if that makes sense. I'm trying to be watch how I don't want to offend. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, because it's like it's two separate conversations. For someone who is, I'll say, 60 below, because 60 is still kind of young.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it has to be different conversations because those who are younger are still experiencing certain parts of their life versus someone who is in their 80s. So you're not telling me about, I'm going to take this treatment and then that's going to like put a wash to my fertility if I'm trying to have a family someday. Like,
I mean, yeah, you're definitely right about it. Dating is hard because I've had someone who actually liked me, but I had to tell them, like, I believe in miracles, but I'm letting you know that the possibility of having children, it's slim to nothing. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And I've had people walk away. I've also had the other side where the one that got away. I know he wanted a family, and I made a decision for him because I didn't want him to resent me for maybe not being able to give him what he wants, and I let him go. So and then it's just for a young adult, you're trying to mature, you're trying to grow up, you're trying to make decisions, but now you're having to make all of these decisions right then and there. And it's definitely a lot. Like, they even took me to the fertility clinic. They made me go to the fertility clinic. And then it got to a point where they were like, you can't have kids, but this is what you can do. You can get an egg donor. So I had chose my twin. And then they were like, you can go to the sperm bank and get some sperm. I said, oh, well, wait a minute. I mean, if that's, I don't hate nobody who wants to go that route, but I was like, I don't want random man's baby. I actually want I want a father to the child. So I put a stop to that. Plus, it was like starting out $27,000. What 25-year-old got that laying around? I've been in chemotherapy this whole time. I haven't been working. So where this money coming from? And then it goes into just to your mental health, and like, you see your peers that you grew up with, they're buying houses, they're getting married, they're doing all this, and you still living with your mama.
right.
And most people, they always tell me, you are delayed, but it's not your fault, and you're doing well where you're at. But I said I can't help but to think sometimes, like, people be like, man, so when you getting married? I'd be like, they go, when you gonna do this? I'm getting there. So it's different pressure.
Let me say, never feel pressured by your squad, which was going to be another question that I was going to say. Never be pressured because you got to do you. I remember before I got married, I'd have specific friends who would be like, "When you get married, we gonna marry you." Like, first off, you need to mind your business. Like, we this, like, we sisters and brothers and all of that. However, someone else cannot walk in your shoe. You know what I'm saying? And I know there's someone out there because you are a woman of God. And a lot of people don't realize when you have a strong faith, that
Oh yeah, it's tough.
that means a lot, you know, because at the end of the day, you really can't control a lot of things. Some things you can control depending on what it is. We ain't gonna go into like all the breakdown and specific, but sometimes you have to like step back and just let God. Okay, like I done did what I needed to do, so I'm gonna need you to like listen over here and take the wheel. You know what I'm saying? So never feel pressured for those. Oh, we gonna get a man. We gonna. You've been through a lot. Okay, so I'm gonna need everybody to like chill out. Okay, which kind of goes into how deep is your squad and your support system, and what has their efforts been to stay by you. Those that who are not asking those questions that we just went over.
So my support system was solid. I had my church, I had my parents, I would have some friends, but it did get lonely because the friends eventually dwindled away, and it was just me and my parents. I'm not even trying to throw my sisters under the bus, but they also had their own lives, and it was time I barely saw them. And I got it though. Like you got your lives. They would check on me. They would call. I would prefer them to come see me, but it cool. I've also had friends who said they didn't know how to handle a person like me. And I was like, what's that mean?
But it's hurtful. But for me, I prefer the transparency
Yeah, I
versus
agree.
the BS. Okay, where you kind of about the situation, because I can kind of relate to some situation as you're saying where okay, you kind of know the story. Oh, oh, you still living? Oh, good girl. How you doing? You know, like you're kind of like it's the elephant in the room that no one really wants to talk about. So I prefer the transparency. You know, girl, I can't really deal with that versus you talking around it. So, okay, you said what you had to say. Okay, we still cool. But I may go on over here because I'm trying to survive right now. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of goes into as you face adversities, right? How have you, I guess, dealt with decisions head on? In terms of when it comes to your health and in terms of a career, in terms of travel, of you just living life, right? Has there been things where you had to have not accept or not comfortable doing because of ALL?
No, and the only thing I could say I was uncomfortable with was the infertility part. That stuff,
Okay.
you know, that I just because I just felt like that's not what God wanted for me, and yeah, I didn't want to do it, so I shut it down. Everything else, I was more like, I'm gonna live my best life. God forbid I die. What you're not gonna do is have me trapped up in this room, and I don't live my life. And yeah, so even during treatment, I would ask the doctors, "Can I go to California?" I ended up going to California, bald and all. I didn't care. I remember I had thrush one time. She stopped me. I was so mad because my mom she got on her bandwagon. I was like, "You really gonna stop her from?" But I almost went to Miami. Even I had thrush in my mouth. I didn't care. I still did. I went to a club one time. I didn't do that again though. But I did go. I was still living my best life. I said I'm not gonna live in regret. Oh no. So I was reasonable. I didn't go too crazy, but
Right.
I still went and had fun, like to
It,
the best of my
it,
ability.
it's funny you said that because I think maybe when I was in a watching weight and maybe after my myeloma became active where I had to start treatment because I'm a traveler. I'm a world traveler.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, so yeah, I got this trip over here to Aruba. Okay. So, what's up, Doc? And I think, like in the beginning stages, I think I do remember him saying that, yeah, you could travel, but I think he was saying something about taking shots for something, something. Like part of that is so fuzzy because, again, I'm in the game so many years, so I forget like the specifics. But I think one of the concerns was like, what's the thing where you can get like the blood clot in your legs? Am I saying that right? Like
Yes,
when you
yes.
have to elevate your leg type
Mm-hmm.
of thing. So that was his concern, especially when I did like overseas travel work stuff. And it was like, well, I'm kind of going though. Okay, because work.
Go.
Okay, but I don't think I think one of the things was like to get those sock things and make sure you have like move around and stuff like that. Just do what you have to do. But I say all that to say you can still do certain things that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's also yes, DVT. That's deep vein thrombosis.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Valerie. But it's it's a lot. Okay, so before we get to wrap this up, I mean, I
We can
want
go
to
on.
talk about. We can go on, but I want to get into where you are now in your life, um, because we know sis be doing her little thing on the Okay, I want you to explain a little bit about this pole fitness because you be doing the thing on your page. Do tell.
Oh,
And
so
how did you even get started in that?
ask me that question. So, so really, this is how it went. I got tired of being in the gym, a typical gym, lifting weights. I was a track runner. I did it for 15, 16 years. I was tired, and I said I want to do something fun, get myself back in shape. I had got myself back in shape the traditional way with the gym and all that other stuff, and I said I'm retired from track. I ain't doing it no more. I want something different. And one day I said I've always wanted to pole dance. I want to see it because back before then it wasn't as popular. I started
Mhm.
in 2012. I
Okay.
started in 2012, and I've been doing off and on with the chemotherapy and all that stuff. I even did it, like I said, I did it while I was doing chemotherapy too.
Hmm.
I was balding out. I was still doing it, but um, I one day I went to the store and I happened to come across a studio, and I said, "Oh, it's a pole studio." I said, this is it. So I went in there, I took an intro class, and I was like, I like this. And I never stopped. And that's how I got myself back in shape. And then I just took it to another level where I started competing. I got my clothes on now, guys. I keep my clothes on. I promised my daddy. My daddy said, I can support it as long as you want. I said, I ain't gonna do that, daddy. I'm not. So,
Hmm.
um, so I took it to another level and started competing and doing stuff. And literally, it gave me empowerment because I did, no lie, I did go through a little. I went not a little. I went through a depression. Because
Hmm.
I was bald. My whole appearance was different. I was really, really big from steroids. I was really, really skinny, and I just didn't feel like the bad baddie girl I was like Amanda.
Right.
When I did the poll, it gave me more empowerment. Not only was it sexy, but it was strength, it was empowerment, it was dance. There's endless tricks that you can learn. So it kept me challenged, and it boosted my confidence back up. Also, I got to meet other women who had similar situations or completely different situations, but we all came together, and we always come together, and we still have fun, and it's just like it's a big movement for a female. I'm just like, yeah. And the males too, you know, sometimes we get the males in there sometimes, but yeah, and
That is dope.
I can't stop though, you know, people be like, maybe you shouldn't post that. I'd be like, mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, guess what? You gotta live. And especially for people who have not dealt with blood cancer or any type of chronic whatever, sometimes people don't really realize that you have to have another situation in your life. There's a word I just thought of, it just went out my head. You have to have other things besides the disease. Plain and simple. Especially if mentally you're trying to fight what it is you're dealing with, mentally and physically. So you have to have another outlet. That's, I think, what I was trying to say. You have to have another outlet. Like, one thing for me, even though I do my stuff. Like, I be busy, and people be like, "Oh my God, I can't." Yeah, stop clutching your pearls. Yes, okay. I'm living my best life as best as I can, because I think we both can agree life is short. Okay. And so it could be this deep disease, or it could be something else that, God forbid, could take us out. So probably can't do everything that we want to do, but we're going to do what we want to do. But one thing I wouldn't mind doing, but it's like, I don't know about that, is getting to the whole ice roller skating thing. Because that's the thing. But I know a few years ago, my husband and I, we did that. And I was like, yeah, because all I need is to fall and break something. You know what I'm saying? Because there's still elements, even though I'm in remission, of some small holes, whatever. You know, just certain things you just don't know if that's going to elevate. But that's kind of been in the back of my mind. But I've kind of been doing bucket list things that may, and it is a roller rink not that far from me, child. Like, okay. We'll see. That may be something that I kind of play with. And not like, oh, I'm roller skating. I'm talking about like the hip roller skating. Okay. I don't know if it goes by a certain name or what. But that's kind of what I'm saying. Like when you put some Usher on or Ursha.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So Amanda, it was like, this was a great conversation. It really was. And what parting words would you like to say to the audience?
Don't give up, and you're stronger than you know it. Everything that you need is within you already. You just have to withdraw it out. And don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and know that you can do it. And you have people who support you, and you got a community. Even strangers cheer you on. So
it's so true. I totally agree. Now, how can everyone find out about you, reach you? What are your what's your IG? What's your Facebook? What's all those good things so people can follow you?
My IG is A Brunson, or Amanda Brunson, but A is my initial, Brunson, BRUNSON 7 for IG, and then Amanda Brunson on Facebook is where you can find me at too. Or, bloodcancer.com, I got my videos up there. You'll see me, Panda.
There you go. Like I said, this was an amazing conversation. For those who came on, I appreciate the audience. Again, when we edit it and put this on YouTube, this was a great conversation. And I think for people specifically, I'll say under the age of 60, and I'll even go further, under the age of 50, like this conversation I think could resonate for one reason or another.
Yeah.
You're a very strong young lady, and I know you will do well,
Yeah.
because you're living and you're doing, and just keep that keep keep going, and have those who are really deep in your squad who are with you, treasure them,
I sure do.
and appreciate. Okay, thanks for hanging in there, because as we talked about, a lot of people are not strong. You know, it's unfortunate, but it's the truth. So that's like a whole conversation, but not really, because that's their situation. Like, we got other things to focus and worry about. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. What's some of the comments? Great show, ladies. Much needed.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
That's some cool comments. So hugs and kisses and all of that kind of stuff.